Picture this. It's the NBA Finals. The energy is off the charts, and you've got the absolute best players in the world. You know, the buzzer beaters, the dunks, the drama. It should be everything you could ask for in a basketball game. And yet, somehow, it feels as though there's something missing. The hype isn't as loud, the excitement not quite as electric. It's almost like the NBA Finals are a little less final than they used to be. A few years ago, 30 million people would have been glued to their screens, ready to watch each and every moment of the action. But today, that number has dropped drastically. And no, I'm not talking about when LeBron's hairline dipped. Could this be the beginning of the end for the sport that we all know and love? Welcome back to Score Insights TV, where today we're looking at whether or not it could be the end for the NBA. The 90s were a golden age. Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, they were all household names. The NBA Finals during those years would average about 20 million viewers per game, and that was during a time when there wasn't even social media, streaming, or YouTube. Fans were glued to their televisions, and games felt like actual events. Now fast forward to the 2000s and the 2010s, and you do still have big stars like LeBron and Kobe and Steph Curry leading the way. But here's the thing, the ratings, well, they started to dip around the 2010s, especially after the peak of LeBron versus the Warriors dynasty. In 2021, the NBA Finals between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns pulled in about 9.9 million viewers for Game 6. Compare that to 1998, when the Bulls and the Utah Jazz pulled in 35.9 million for Game 6 of their finals. That's a massive drop. I'm talking like Grand Canyon-sized divide. And if you think that that's just a one-off, well, you should think again. The 2020 finals between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers only drew in a measly 7.5 million viewers, the lowest viewership for an NBA Finals game since 1994. Even the 2022 finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics averaged about 12 million viewers, but that's still far below the numbers that were seen in the 90s and the early 2000s. In fact, NBA viewership has dropped almost 40% since 2010. And that leaves the question, what happened? Well, let's break it down. There are several reasons why NBA ratings have been on the decline. It's not only just one thing, it's actually a mixture of factors that have changed the way that fans consume the game. Competition from other entertainment. The biggest shift has been the rise of digital entertainment. YouTube, Netflix, TikTok, other social media and streaming platforms, they've all taken over our attention. And today, people have countless options for how to spend their time. Sports, including the NBA, are no longer the only game in town. You can watch highlights on your phone, skip over the boring parts, and then move on to the next thing. The NBA is competing with not only other sports, but just about everything else in the entertainment space. Changes in how we watch. Another big reason for the shift in how people watch sports is the traditional model of sitting down for a 3-hour game is just not as appealing as it used to be. Younger viewers will prefer quick clips and highlights or even a condensed version of the game, and the NBA has tried to adapt with League Pass, but streaming hasn't quite replaced the communal experience of watching live sports on television. Plus, people are more likely to watch games on their phone or their tablet, and that means the ratings that they report might not tell the full story. The player empowerment era. Another issue the NBA faces is the so-called player empowerment era. Now, in the past, you would have those big and epic stars like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, who all stayed with their teams for, well, most of their careers. This would create long-term rivalries and storylines that fans could get into and follow for years. But these days, players like LeBron and Kevin Durant and others are switching teams more frequently. Now sure, it's great for the players, but it makes it kind of difficult for the fans to even build a long-term attachment to one team. When your best player leaves every couple years, well, it just might feel like you're watching a bunch of mercenaries rather than a team that's built for something important. The rise of small market teams. Another factor in the decline of ratings is the rise of smaller market teams, those like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets and even the Memphis Grizzlies. These teams do have incredible talent, like Giannis and other young up-and-comers of the like, but they don't have that same kind of mass appeal as a large market team does, like with Los Angeles or the New York Knicks. People outside of Milwaukee or Denver may not even care as much about these teams, and that's reflected in the ratings. By comparison, though, during the 1990s and the early 2000s, the NBA did have a few big market teams that were consistently making deep playoff runs. Those like the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Bulls, they were all creating compelling storylines that attracted the viewers, whether they were fans of those teams or not. I mean, think about it like this. In 2022, during the NBA Finals, where it was the Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics, the average viewership was 12 million per game. At peak, during Game 6, they had 18.9 million, and this was an exciting matchup because it featured two big market teams, but the ratings were significantly lower than the Finals games from just a decade before. Then the 2021 NBA Finals had the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. That average viewership was a dismal 9.9 million. And while the Bucks win was a huge moment for Giannis in Milwaukee, the Suns, despite all of their success, just couldn't generate the same level of interest as other teams. Then in 2020, at the finals between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers, the average viewership dipped to 7.5 million viewers a game. That was the lowest since 1994 and a big drop from previous years. Now, the NBA was in the middle of the COVID pandemic at that time, which meant that games were played in empty arenas, and that did take away a lot of the energy from the atmosphere. So then, what does it all mean for the future of the NBA? Well, the league is still a financial juggernaut. I mean, even with lower ratings, it's still one of the most profitable sports in all of the world, but it's also clear that they need to make a lot of changes if they're going to ensure their future dominance. And, luckily for you, I have a few potential directions that the league could go in. One is adapting to changing habits. The NBA is likely going to continue to embrace streaming and digital media in order to reach the younger fans, so we might see more innovative ways of presenting the game. Things like offering shorter highlights or integrating interactive features. Then, two, they could focus on star power. The NBA needs its stars to stay in one place a whole lot longer than they do. The more players switch teams, the less the league has in terms of long-term rivalry and narratives, and the NBA has to find a way to keep its stars in one place, or at least to keep up with the drama. And three, growing an international audience could be huge. The NBA is already big on the international basis, but there's room for even more growth, especially with stars like Giannis and Luka leading the way. Now, expanding into new markets like Europe and Africa could actually help the NBA to maintain its global appeal. So then, could this actually be the ending for the NBA? Well, in all honesty, probably not. But the league does face some serious challenges. The drop in ratings is a reflection of changing viewing habits, the rise of digital media, the shifting landscape of team loyalty, and if the NBA wants to stay relevant in the future, it's going to need to adapt. Keep its star power strong and find new ways of capturing the attention of younger fans. I mean, after all, we're talking about a league that survived the post-Jordan era, the LeBron Durant super team era, and the global pandemic to boot. So, perhaps this is just another one of those challenges that they're going to find a way to overcome. But what do you think? Are the NBA ratings down for good? Is this just simply a phase? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments section down below, and also tell me how it is that you consume the NBA. Is it on a phone, a tablet, highlights, YouTube? What is it? Hit that like button, ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.